Okay, guys, welcome back to the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Part 10, The Witching Hour. We are there! We're at the end of this horrendous, oh so gothic horror mess of a series. I will be definitely moving on from this thing, very happy to, and we'll be starting two new series based on mythology, mostly about adaptation of mythology, but also adding a tinge of history into it as well. So I'm very excited to be starting that with the Rose. Anyway, before we can start on that, we have to finish off this garbage fire. So it starts off with Lilith telling this anonymous person in a chair stories about Sabrina, more importantly about the night of the storm. So apparently the events that we're seeing at the beginning are following the events that we're about to see. So, we have seen Roz tell her Nana that she's worried that the Spellmans were the witches who cursed their family to be blind. The grandma, having a little bit more common sense, tells her not to think such nonsense and that she needs to concentrate on the actual threats at hand. Fortunately, this woman's cunning is a bit more useful than just looking for a bunch of girls committing murder. She tells Roz that the witches they need to fear are the 13 who are raised by a powerful force that is twisted and not as powerful as God, but could very well near be. Lilith. Ugh. This show is just too obvious that no one can even suspend their disbelief. But then again, we're at the last episode, let's just get through this. So, Sabrina's basically doing what all of us students wish that we could do. Hide in our rooms and stay in our beds. But, like all responsible guardians or parental figures, Aunt Zelda gets her out of bed and tells her that she needs to go to school. Aunt Hilda has made her a balm for her painful heart. I've tried that many times and trust me, it does not work. Especially if you don't put enough intent into it. Probably my biggest weakness anyway. So Sabrina is forced to go to school and face the fact that her boyfriend broke up with her because he discovered that she's a witch. So Sabrina's friends find out she's a witch. Sabrina apologizes for everything. They rally around her, blah blah blah. Lilith, naturally not happy about that, tells this anonymous person her plan to introduce a threat so that Sabrina has to be forced to separate from her friends. La da da, typical antagonist plot. You get the picture. And cut to Nicholas being supportive as always. Probably one of the only decent characters in this whole garbage fire of a series. At least every time he talks, I don't want to punch something. And cue the statue bleeding from the head, the nose, and the eyes. Yep, that's just messed up. I'm not very, how should I say this? I don't agree with most of the Satanists, but when I see this nonsense, I can definitely see why they sued Netflix for this shit. And cut to Lilith killing a virgin. Of course, a male virgin, why would you, Anyway, she likes male flesh more than she likes female, so I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised. She uses the virgin blood to call the ghosts of the 13 witches to avenge their deaths and bring hellfire and vengeance down upon the heads of Greendale. So, these 13 witches are going on a really creepy sightseeing tour around modern-day Greendale, ending up at the headquarters of the Church of Night. Naturally, they're a little bit too cliché in their actions. And they just commit blasphemy by burning the Bible. Susie gets woken up by her Aunt Dorothea's ghost, who tells her, after showing the 13 witches who were standing in her garden, that they were witches that she helped and she had to bury because nobody else dared to bury them. Or, in this case, wanted to bury them. And once again, Ambrose and his boy toy have proven themselves to be dim-witted idiots who clearly don't know the danger when they see it because they spy on the 13 witches. Unsurprisingly, they're not very happy about this. The only reason that those two bubbleheads managed to get away was because the witches needed them to take a message. Oh, I thought these authors would at least give them a little bit of common sense, but apparently that's too much to ask. And all the firstborns of Greendale are fucked. Both mortal and witch. It's a good thing I don't live in Greendale because that would have meant that I would be the one taken. Whippy! Such are the joys of being the eldest, eh? It's a good thing nobody's actually that stupid to try to do that, because being the firstborn in that case is not fun. So, finally, the Spellmans decide that they're not going to hide like the pathetic, sliming, cowarding witches that most of the Church of Night are. They are going to help the town. How are they going to do that? By making use of the fact that when there is a tornado, Baxter High Basement is the shelter for the entire town. And like the good witches they are, they summon tornado. Now, I don't like the fact that the Greek gods of the wind, Euros, Zephyrus, Notos, and Boreas, are being associated once again with satanic witches, but hey, they are literally the lords of the wind, and it's better than summoning Kukulkan as an insult to the Aztecs, so let's just be thankful they went with the obvious. Sabrina, just leave the useless boy alone. If he doesn't appreciate the difference between brave and being a coward and downright stupidity, he's not worth your problems. He's not worth your troubles. He's not worth anything. He's going to get himself killed with his own stupidity. And just leave the boy and just get out of there and actually help the mortals that are willing to listen. He's not going to listen to you. He broke up with you. He still blames you for everything that happened with his brother. He told you that himself. Just leave him alone. Ugh. Okay, so Lady Blackwood goes into labor. Zelda is teleported out of there. Ambrose is teleported out of there because his boyfriend is too bloody emotional to keep his head on straight. And Lilith's plan of action is coming into fruition because Sabrina doesn't seem to grasp the fact or even see that there is something wrong with her teacher, with Miss Wardwell. Ever since episode 1, she knew her teacher very, very well. And suddenly this woman changes drastically and sporadically. And she doesn't ask questions or doesn't even keep some sliver of doubt in her mind. If one of my teachers suddenly ends up looking incredibly sexy, starts spewing witch nonsense, or at least for them, witch nonsense, for me it would be normal. If one of my teachers suddenly started talking about witchcraft with me, I would be worried. And I would think, what's happened to you? But no, apparently that's only for people with functioning brains. Okay, so Lilith actually convinces her to sign the Book of the Beast by using her goddamn friends. Oh, how to make your weaknesses look incredibly tempting to those who know how to exploit them. Then Lilith just suddenly disappears out of nowhere, I don't know where, and then suddenly this apparition of the Dark Lord that's, quite frankly, really quite disgusting and insulting, just appears out of nowhere, and I'm thinking, is this even Satan himself, or is this another apparition of Lilith's? Because quite frankly, I don't know what to think in this part anymore, because she shapeshifts so many times that I'm just like sitting here thinking, are you her or are you him? Because I don't want to get cast into hell by making one fucking mistake. Okay, let's just carry on. So, Sabrina basically saves the day by calling up fire from the pit. Hellfire. Well, Greendale is saved. La-da-da. Lilith reveals her true colors. And that is all I have energy and time for. Well, I wish this hellfire had come sooner, because it's this season, this series is basically hellfire itself. Okay, my little ravens, we have gotten to the end of it, and now I'm finally looking forward to do series I actually enjoy. So, until then, my little ravens, Raven Rose, signing out.